Moments ago, I asked House members Peter Welch, Democrat from Vermont, and Jeb Hensarling, Republican from Texas, just what can be done to get the economy moving again. Please take a listen. Let me ask you something. What about proposing and getting through, you could jam this through, a tax holiday to repatriate the foreign earnings of American corporations? It could punch $1 trillion into our economy for jobs and investment. Andy Stern, the liberal former president of the SEIU union, last night on this show endorsed it. Mr. Hensarling, are you for it?
Well, I absolutely believe that we ought to bring American capital back to America to help create American jobs. I think it would be helpful, but ultimately, Larry, the big challenge that we have in our economy today is a lack of confidence in the future. It's directly tied to the fear and uncertainty of Obamacare, the fear and uncertainty under the Dodd-Frank law, and certainly the fear and uncertainty surrounding how are we going to deal with this spending-driven debt. So it is one step. It would be a good step, but fundamentally, the economy is not suffering from a lack of capital. It's a lack of confidence, and only the president can change this, and he hadn't done it. Well, we have a speech, but we don't have a plan.
All right, Peter Welch, I want to get you to weigh in on all these things, but again, Andy Stern of the Service Employees International, look, he's a liberal guy, self-proclaimed. He came out in favor of 100% repatriation, give it tax, whatever, 5%, punch in $1 trillion into the economy. It's going to create some jobs. It might create some stock market returns for retirees and pensioners. What do you think?
You know, if it's part of tax reform, then that makes sense. But if it's just going to be used to pay dividends, it's not going to get into the job creation that we need.
He said that doesn't trouble him, Peter. I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't mean to be disrespectful.
Yeah,
but he said share buybacks and dividends will help government union people because they have the pension funds, and it'll help them that way. And he said all that revenues will be a positive.
Yeah, and I disagree with Mr. Stern on that. I think if that money comes back, you want to have some guarantee. If that has been a tax holiday, you want to have some guarantee that it is going to boost the economy. Share buybacks and dividends help the people who get it, but it doesn't necessarily create the jobs. You know, one of the challenges we have with high unemployment is that the uncertainty corporations have, who are sitting on nearly $2 trillion in cash, is if they produce more goods, will they have consumers who will buy them? That's the big challenge. I'd like to see us emphasize job creation programs. If we put money into energy efficiency, if we put money into infrastructure, including some of that, we're going to be able to put people back to work. We need more people working.
This capital is doing us no good whatsoever overseas. We have an opportunity to bring it home and do some good. And so, again, Larry, I don't agree with Andy Stern on much, but I would certainly agree with him here. But we've got to go far beyond that, and the most important thing we can do is deal with this spending-driven debt that we have that is causing a lot of this capital to remain on the sideline. And again, the president has given us a speech, but he hadn't given us a plan. And until we deal with that, I don't know fundamentally if we're going to have a recovery.
Let me put one more on the table that may surprise both of you coming from me. It's not a tax proposal. It's an immigration proposal. Big story in the paper today about silent raids after immigrants at businesses, even though the E-Verify system does not work. Why not work to fix that? To me, helping immigrants would be pro-growth. Why not give them green cards or visas? Why not let the brainiacs come in here? Why not let the college grads stay here? Pro-immigration, Jeb, would be pro-growth.
Oh, absolutely. I want to make sure that if people want to come here to be economic assets and not economic liabilities, I think we can improve certainly our H-1B visa program and a guest worker program. But that's a completely different thing. Well, you know, a guest worker program helps, and we ought to strengthen it.
Go ahead,
and,
Peter.
you know, George Bush started, he had a comprehensive immigration proposal that made a lot of sense, and we should be moving ahead on that. That's caught up in politics, and it's not just the HB1 visa program or if folks who get degrees here ought to be allowed to stay here. Those folks can add an immense amount of value, but we need a comprehensive immigration reform plan. George Bush had it on the table. Politics took it off the table. That could help.
Well, I think harassing businesses is just a lousy idea. I think it detracts from the whole economy. It creates a lot of unemployment. unemployment. Last one, gentlemen. Can I get an update, Peter Welch? Your thought on the debt ceiling. I mean, a lot of people in the economy want to get past that, whether there's spending cuts or not. They're saying, let's get past the debt ceiling. We don't want a default. Greece's default threat is in the news, and it is causing bloody hell on Wall Street. What's going to happen with the debt ceiling?
Well, we're playing a very dangerous game here. We're playing Russian roulette with a loaded gun. You know, in politics, everybody tries to leverage where they get leverage where they can, and the debt ceiling and holding back on it is a way to try to get your way, as you see it, on some of these long-term budget cuts. And we should be negotiating as we are, but we can't default. So my strong view is that we have to commit ourselves to doing what America has always done, and that's paying our bills.
Jeb Hensarling, I give you the last word. What's the state of play? You're in the leadership. What's the state on the debt ceiling?
Larry, the problem is not the debt ceiling. The problem is the debt. First, default on sovereign debt is a red herring. The president has the legal authority to make bondholders whole. They have the means to do that. But the classic definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. If we're going to increase the debt ceiling, we have got to put America on a fiscally sustainable path. That's what's keeping jobs on the sideline, and shame on us if we let this moment go. It can't be something, it can't be a mere speed bump on the road to national bankruptcy.
Is there a deal coming? Is there a deal coming?
There better be a deal coming. You know, if interest rates go up 1%, that's $160 billion added to the debt. This would be a train wreck.
Jeb, last word. Deal coming?
Well,
I need to know.
It would be kicking the can down the road if we did have one. I hope and believe that we will. In time will tell. But we're going to have savings for the American taxpayer in order to have jobs created today.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Peter Welch of Vermont, Jeb Hensarling of Texas. I appreciate your time very much. All right. Next up on the Kudlow Report, regulations stand